It's strange how something so small, a few words, can echo for days. That Friday started like any other. I had just gotten home from work when Amy mentioned she was meeting a few coworkers for a quick drink. Just one, she said, while adjusting her earrings in the hallway mirror. She barely glanced up from her reflection when I asked who was going. A couple people from the new project team. Melissa, that guy Sean from HR, maybe some others. You don't know them. She said it casually, like it was nothing, like it wasn't worth thinking about. I didn't push. I rarely did. That had become a thing in our marriage. I was the one who always tried to pick my battles, who gave space, who chalked up the distance between us to stress, work, parenting, life, all the usual excuses. Want me to drop you off? I offered. She laughed, soft but dismissive. No need. I'll Uber. I won't be long. It's literally 10 minutes from the office. I nodded. She smelled like vanilla and something citrusy. Maybe a new perfume? Or maybe I just hadn't been paying close enough attention lately. She wore a blazer, black jeans, boots that added 2 inches to her height. Not exactly cocktail attire, but not casual either. Somewhere in between. After she left, I made dinner for our daughter. We did our usual routine bath, pajamas, then a little bit of Disney before bed. Amy hadn't texted once since she left. That wasn't unheard of, but it still sat wrong with me. I took a picture of our daughter brushing her teeth with foam all over her face, captioned it "Missin' Mama," and sent it to Amy with a heart emoji. No response. I didn't think much of it at first. Rooftop bar. Loud. She'd get back to me when she got home. It was maybe an hour later when my phone buzzed again. At first, I didn't recognize the name. It was someone Amy had gone to college with, a woman named Renee. We weren't close. She followed me on Instagram, and I followed her back mostly out of politeness. The message she sent was a story repost. No caption, no explanation. Just a video 30 seconds long. I watched it without thinking. The angle was a little shaky, but the skyline behind them was unmistakable. Downtown, West End, rooftop lounge with those string lights I'd seen all over social media. Amy sat at a round table, her legs crossed, leaning in toward a man beside her. Her clutch sat between them, neat and perfectly placed, and next to it, gleaming under the lights, was her wedding ring. Not on her finger, just there, like a prop. He leaned toward her, said something into her ear. She laughed. Not a polite work laugh. An honest-to-God, head-tilted, glowing kind of laugh. Her hand brushed against his when he reached for his drink. She didn't pull away. I replayed it 3 times. In my mind, I tried to rewrite what I was seeing. Maybe it wasn't her ring. Maybe it wasn't even Amy. Maybe this wasn't what it looked like. But I knew her posture. The way she moved. That was her laugh. That was her. And that was her ring. The caption on the story said something dumb and meaningless, like, VIP night sparkles. But that was what hit me hardest. VIP. Not a casual drink at the bar. Not some team-building happy hour. VIP was invite-only, bottle service, intimate corners. That wasn't a room full of coworkers. That was something else. I didn't respond to Renee. I didn't know what to say. I didn't even know why she sent it. Curiosity? Malice? Maybe she thought I already knew. I sat with it for a while. My daughter had already gone to sleep by then. I turned the volume down on the TV, but didn't watch anything. I just kept looking at my phone. I kept thinking maybe it was innocent. Maybe I jumped the gun. Maybe I was being insecure, reading too much into it. But my gut knew better. Amy came home a little after 10. She wasn't drunk, just flushed from the cold. Her cheeks had that faint pink tone that she gets when she's been laughing too hard or drinking just enough to feel warm. She tossed her bag onto the bench near the entryway, kicked off her boots, and walked into the kitchen like it was just another night. How was it? I asked from the couch. She opened the fridge. Loud, kinda boring. We didn't stay long. Just one drink. You know how these things go. I nodded, still watching her. She hadn't seen our daughter since morning. Melissa was there? She paused just long enough for me to notice. Yeah, for a bit. And Sean. And a couple others. I pulled out my phone and opened the story again. I handed it to her. Renee sent me this. Amy took it slowly. She watched the video once. Then again. Her face didn't change much. If anything, she looked tired. Maybe a little annoyed. She handed the phone back. It's a bad angle, she said flatly. It's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like. I let those words sit there between us. She turned to rinse a glass in the sink. Like nothing had happened. No apology. No explanation. Not even a follow-up. Just the clink of ice and the sound of water running. I waited for her to say more. I thought maybe if I stayed silent, she'd fill in the gaps. Tell me who the guy was. Why her ring was off. Why she hadn't mentioned VIP. But she didn't. After a while, she looked at me from across the kitchen. Are you seriously going to get upset over a video someone took at some dumb bar? I didn't answer. I didn't trust what would come out of my mouth if I did. She sighed like I was the one being unreasonable. Look, I don't know why Renee would even send that. She always had a thing for stirring up drama. You know that. I almost laughed. She was deflecting. Blaming the messenger. Classic move. Why was your ring on the table? I asked. She blinked. Then shrugged. My fingers were swollen. The drink had too much salt or something. I didn't even realize I took it off. You didn't realize. She rolled her eyes. Are we really doing this? I didn't respond. Couldn't. Because I already knew. I didn't have all the details, but I had enough. I went to bed before she did. She stayed downstairs, scrolling on her phone. Probably texting someone. Maybe him. I wish I could say the video was the moment I knew. But the truth is, that night only cracked the surface. What really broke me was what came after. When I stopped giving her the benefit of the doubt and started noticing all the little things I'd been brushing off for months. Things that had been right in front of me, clear as day. But I chose not to see them because I didn't want to. Amy used to be glued to her phone in a way that felt normal. She'd scroll Instagram while we cooked dinner together, send silly TikToks during work breaks, even show me screenshots from her group chat when someone said something funny. But over the past few months, that changed. Subtly at first. Her phone was always on silent. Then suddenly it was always face down. Then it wasn't even in the same room. If I walked by her while she was texting, she'd tilt the screen away, close it or lock it altogether. At the time, I convinced myself she just wanted space. That maybe I was overthinking it. After all, we'd been together for nearly a decade. We had a kid. You don't just cheat on your husband out of nowhere. Right? Now I wasn't so sure. After the rooftop video, I started watching more carefully. Amy didn't know I had seen through the cracks yet. Not really. She probably thought she'd smoothed it over with her half-explanation and my silence. But I wasn't silent anymore. Not inside. That next week, she told me she'd be working late. Again. 2 nights in a row. The third night, she said it was a last-minute team dinner. I said, cool. Want me to swing by with our daughter? She hasn't seen you much this week. Amy froze for half a second, then forced a smile. You know how long those things run. She'll be cranky. She's been asking about you. I'll make it up to her this weekend. But she didn't. That Saturday, we were supposed to take our daughter to the Science Museum. She'd been talking about it all week. Amy said she had to cancel last minute. Her boss needed help finalizing a grant proposal. Just one of those things, she told me. Our daughter cried. Sunday, Amy slept in until nearly noon. When she came down, she barely looked at us. No apology. No explanation. Just poured her coffee, scrolled through her phone, and sat at the far end of the table. She looked exhausted, but not the kind of exhausted you get from parenting or working long hours. It was something else, like guilt in physical form. Or maybe just apathy. When our daughter asked if mommy could take her to the park later, Amy didn't even look up from her phone. Maybe next weekend, sweetheart. I've got some stuff I need to finish. That was the second canceled plan in 2 weeks. The third came the following Thursday. She told me she had a meeting in the city, some new initiative her department was exploring. She didn't have time to come to school pickup. I said I'd handle it again. That night, I noticed something strange. Amy's phone buzzed while she was in the shower. Normally, I wouldn't touch it, but something told me to look. The preview was vague. Just a name I didn't recognize, Eli. No last name. No context. I opened the lock screen. No previews. She had turned off message previews entirely. That was new. When she came out of the bathroom, I asked casually, "Who's Eli?" She blinked. "Huh. Your phone buzzed. I saw a name, Eli. Work friend?" She dried her hair a little too slowly. "Oh, yeah. He's on the grant team. Just logistics stuff. You two seem to be talking a lot." She shrugged. "He's chatty." I nodded and said nothing. But the thing is, I did remember her mentioning an Eli a few weeks back. He was a tech guy, apparently helped troubleshoot some equipment issue in her department. She said he was harmless, nerdy, married. Married, of course. And yet, I couldn't shake the way her voice changed when she said his name, like she was trying too hard to sound neutral. I'd heard her speak casually about male friends before. This was different. This was careful. Then there was the lock screen. It used to be a picture of the three of us on the beach from last summer. Our daughter, all sun-kissed and smiling. Amy behind her in those ridiculous oversized sunglasses she loved. One day that picture was just gone. I noticed it while we were waiting in the car at a red light. She got a text, picked up her phone, and I caught a glimpse of the new image. A black and white landscape photo. Some abstract mountain range. "New lock screen?" I asked. She looked at it like she forgot she changed it. "Yeah, I just wanted something neutral. Less clutter. Less clutter." That's what we were now. I didn't say anything else. I just turned back to the road and stared at the intersection ahead, thinking about how something so small could feel like such a punch to the chest. I told myself for months that we were just tired, that parenting was hard, that this was what long-term marriages looked like, ebbs and flows. And honestly, some of that might still be true. But none of it explained why she flinched when I tried to hug her, why she rarely kissed me back, why her laughter died whenever I walked into the room. It all started making sense, and I hated that it did. I remembered something our daughter had said a few nights earlier while we were brushing her teeth. Completely out of nowhere, she asked, "How come Mommy doesn't eat dinner with us anymore?" I didn't have an answer, so I lied. "She's just busy with work, sweetheart. She misses you." Our daughter didn't say anything after that, just spit into the sink and went to her room. That silence? That was the loudest thing of all. The next morning, I noticed Amy had added a password to her laptop. Another first. That's when I stopped pretending. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't insecure. I was finally seeing the truth. I wasn't planning to see him. That's the part that still messes with my head. Sunday mornings were usually predictable. Pancakes, cartoons, maybe a quick grocery run if we were out of milk. Amy had told me the night before that she'd be catching up on rest, and asked if I could take our daughter out for a bit, so she could have the house quiet. That didn't strike me as strange at the time. Lately, everything felt distant anyway. We left around 10. I strapped our daughter into her seat, handed her a juice box, and drove to my mom's place across town. Amy didn't even come outside to say goodbye. She waved from the doorway, phone already in her hand. At my mom's, things felt normal in a way that hurt more than the tension at home. My mom asked how Amy was doing. I said busy, and left it at that. Our daughter played with her toys, laughing, carefree. For a few hours, I almost forgot what my life had started to feel like. Almost. When it was time to head back, I realized I'd left my jacket in Amy's car the night before. The weather had turned colder, and I didn't feel like hearing about it later, so I decided to swing by the house and grab it before picking up lunch. I didn't text her. I didn't call. Why would I? It was my house too. When I pulled into the driveway, her car was there. That surprised me. She said she was resting. I figured she'd be in bed, maybe annoyed that I was interrupting her quiet time. I opened the garage door, and then everything stopped. A man I recognized immediately stepped out from the door leading into the house. Same build, same hair, same face from the rooftop video. He wore a plain gray t-shirt and sweatpants, like he belonged there, like he'd slept there. In his hand was a hotel keycard, white, generic, unmistakable. For half a second, neither of us moved. He looked at me like a deer caught in headlights. I looked at him like my body hadn't caught up to my brain yet, like I was watching a scene from someone else's life. Then Amy appeared behind him. Her face drained of color so fast it was almost impressive. Mouth slightly open, eyes wide. No time to prepare. No lie ready. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't ask why he was there. I didn't raise my voice or clench my fists or demand answers. I just looked at her. Really looked at her. And in that moment, everything I'd been holding on to collapsed. Every excuse. Every benefit of the doubt. Every time I told myself I was imagining things. She didn't chase after me. Didn't say my name. Didn't cry. I turned around, walked back to my car, and drove away. The whole drive felt unreal. Like my hands weren't connected to my body. I don't remember the music on the radio or the traffic lights or how long it took to get to my mom's again. I just remember thinking one thing over and over. So this is who I've been married to. When I got back, my mom could tell something was wrong. I said I wasn't feeling well and asked if our daughter could stay a little longer. My mom didn't press. She just nodded and hugged me. I went home alone. The house felt different now. Smaller. Colder. I sat on the couch and stared at the wall. I checked my phone. No calls. No messages. Nothing. An hour passed. Then two. She didn't call that night. Not to explain. Not to apologize. Not even to lie. The next day at work I tried to focus. I failed. Around noon, a courier came to my desk with a small envelope. No return address. Just my name, written in Amy's handwriting. Inside was my wedding ring. No note. No explanation. Just the ring. That's when I understood. She wasn't even brave enough to end it herself. She let someone else do that part for her. I sat there holding the ring, feeling strangely calm. If she wanted it over like this, fine. But I would be the one to finish it properly. I kept expecting my phone to ring. That sounds pathetic, I know. After everything I'd seen, after the garage, after the ring, I still expected her to call. Not because I wanted to fix anything, but because some part of me believed she owed me something. An explanation, a fight, a breakdown, anything that proved the last 10 years hadn't ended in silence. But the phone stayed quiet. That night I didn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table with the lights off, watching the microwave clock creep forward minute by minute. Every sound made me tense. The refrigerator kicking on, a car passing outside, the neighbor's dog barking. I checked my phone so many times the screen felt burned into my eyes. Nothing. By morning I felt hollow. Not angry. Not even sad in the way people expect. Just empty. Like my body had skipped straight past shock and landed somewhere colder. I packed a bag for our daughter and drove her to my mom's before school. I told her mommy was busy and would see her soon. She nodded like she was used to that answer. That hurt more than anything else. At work, I functioned on autopilot. Emails sent. Meetings attended. Words spoken without meaning. Around lunchtime, the envelope arrived. No return address. I recognized Amy's handwriting instantly. I don't know how. Maybe you never forget the way someone writes your name when they've written it 1,000 times before. Inside was my wedding ring. No note. No apology. No explanation. Just the ring. I closed my hand around it and felt something settle in my chest. Not pain, clarity. She wasn't coming back to talk. She wasn't going to beg or fight or even pretend she was sorry. She had chosen the cleanest exit for herself, regardless of how brutal it was for everyone else. So I stopped waiting. That afternoon, I left work early and met with a lawyer a friend had quietly recommended months earlier, just in case. I hadn't understood why at the time. Now I did. I laid everything out. The video, the man, the ring, the silence. The lawyer didn't look surprised. She nodded, took notes, and asked calm, practical questions. Custody, assets, documentation, timelines. When she asked if I was sure I wanted to proceed, I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said. I want to do this properly. That night, I sat alone in the house we'd bought together and gathered everything. Bank statements, phone records, calendar entries, screenshots I'd saved without fully realizing why. I organized them into folders labeled neatly, methodically. I didn't cry. Somewhere between midnight and dawn, I realized something that scared me with how calm it felt. I wasn't doing this out of revenge. I was doing it because this was already over. By the time the sun came up, I had my answer. She didn't start the end, but I would finish it. We sat across from each other in a quiet, glass-walled room that smelled like air conditioning and old carpet. The kind of place where things officially end, without yelling, without tears. Just paperwork and dry voices and polite silence between people who used to share a bed. Amy was wearing a blazer I didn't recognize. Pale gray, wrinkled at the shoulders. Her hair was pulled back, makeup light but obvious, like she had tried just hard enough to look presentable, but not so hard it looked like she cared. She didn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer was a stiff-looking man in a navy suit who greeted everyone with a nod that managed to feel both dismissive and apologetic. My lawyer, Melissa, was calm and composed. Flipping through documents like this was just another Tuesday. Probably was for her. For me, it was the beginning of something new, and the end of something I'd been holding onto far too long. They started with the basics: property, assets, bank accounts. Nothing surprising. Amy spoke in short answers. Yes, I think so. I'll check. Her voice was flat, detached, like she wasn't even in the room. Then we got to custody. That's when everything shifted. Melissa asked, "Can you walk us through your daughter's weekday schedule? Bedtime, meals, school drop-offs, things like that?" Amy blinked. Well, she wakes up at 7, right? She looked at me like I was supposed to confirm it. I didn't say a word. And she has cereal? Usually? Or toast? She's picky. Melissa kept her tone neutral. Who takes her to school in the mornings? Amy hesitated. Mark usually does. My schedule's unpredictable. And after school? Sometimes my mom helps. Or daycare. Her voice trailed off. Melissa nodded, then asked, "Do you know who her current pediatrician is?" Amy opened her mouth, closed it. Silence. That silence stretched for a beat too long. "Do you attend her appointments?" Melissa added. Amy's face turned pink. I work full-time. I've had to miss a few, but I ask about them. No one said anything. No one needed to, because the truth was already sitting there between us, too large to ignore. Amy didn't know her daughter's routine. Not really. Not like a parent who's present. She had pulled away not just from me, but from us. Our family, our kid, our life. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. That feeling had passed weeks ago. I just sat there, listening, watching her flounder through questions that any engaged parent would answer without thinking. I didn't gloat. I didn't even feel satisfied. I just felt still, like I had finally reached the bottom of a long fall. Amy, on the other hand, looked like she was waking up in real time, like the reality of what was happening had finally caught up to her. At one point, the attorney asked, "Would you be seeking joint custody?" Amy looked startled. I thought that's what we were doing." Melissa responded gently, "We can absolutely discuss joint arrangements, but I'd like to clarify expectations now, so we're all aligned moving forward." Amy looked down at her hands, which were clenched in her lap. Her nails were chipped. One finger was fidgeting with the ring finger on her left hand, where a band used to be. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. "I don't know what's fair anymore." Nobody corrected her, because deep down we all knew that fair left the table the day she did. Eventually, the meeting ended. They'd draft a temporary custody plan based on the structure I already had in place. Weekdays with me, weekends optional. Visitation as long as it didn't disrupt school. Amy didn't protest. She just nodded. We stepped out into the parking lot in separate waves. Melissa gave me a look, a small one. Like, "Are you okay?" I nodded. She left, and then Amy caught up to me. She called my name the same way she used to when we were still figuring each other out. Soft, careful, hopeful. "Mark." I turned. She looked so out of place. Her eyes were glassy, her mouth slightly open, like she wanted to say something and didn't know where to begin. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she said quietly. I didn't respond. It was a mistake, she added, like those 5 words could explain anything. I looked at her and said nothing. I didn't sleep with him, she said suddenly. Her voice cracked at the edges. I swear, it never got that far. I believed her, and it didn't matter, because the damage was done long before hotel rooms and unspoken lines. I nodded slowly. Okay. She took a step closer. Is there any hope left? It was a question I could tell she hadn't rehearsed. She looked scared asking it. I stared at her for a long moment. I thought about the silence, the ring in the envelope, the unanswered calls from our daughter, the way she'd shrugged off guilt like it was a coat she didn't want to wear anymore. Then I said, everything you had. You traded for a few hours of fun, maybe less. Amy's face fell. She didn't say goodbye. She turned and walked away. She looked smaller somehow, her voice shaky as she called my name. Mark. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I stood still. She said it was a mistake, that she didn't sleep with him, that she was confused. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just let her speak. When she asked if there was still hope, I didn't hesitate. You traded everything for a few hours of fun. That was your choice. Her eyes welled up, but she didn't try to stop me when I walked away. She didn't even say goodbye. I kept the house, got full custody. Our daughter stopped asking when Amy would visit. I built a quiet routine: work, gym, walks with my kid. Amy? She moved between 3 rentals. The guy? Gone. The last time I saw her was at a school assembly. She showed up late, holding flowers. But our daughter ran straight to me. When Amy asked about ice cream, our daughter turned away. That was the moment I knew everything had finally fallen into place.